Today we're going to review a very favorite Defender for a lot of people, Sandoval, the 110. Hi, I'm Paul and I'm with Helderburg, and today we're talking about Sandoval. You've seen this color, you've seen this configuration probably multiple times. The first time we did it was Bruno, so go to helderburg.com and look for Bruno the 110. That was the first time we did this color in a 110 in this configuration. And while you're on helderburg.com, also take a look at Enzo under the 130s. So Enzo, the D130, was my personal truck that I had for a few years and was a favorite. It was an Instagram favorite. It had millions of views on the videos, when we would do a story, post, whatever. So it got a lot of coverage. And I know there were some events I went to that Enzo, basically, let's just put it this way, Enzo was a celebrity, but it's, I'm sentimental about Enzo, really, because I named that truck after a dog that I had before Lucy. But anyway, check that one out. So let's talk about Sandoval. Sandoval originally came in 1997 and came from France. We went through an entire ground-up restoration, starting with the frame, and worked our way all the way up. The color is really close to what you would call a willow green, but we've got the, I guess you could say, the color code down really well, of where we add a fine metallic, an additional metallic with a bronze. And I've said this many a times, as have many people that have visited us or seen a Helderburg in person, the pictures and videos simply do not do the color justice or the attention to detail. So this color, the best way to describe it is in the sun, it has a bronzy green color. You can definitely see the fine metallic. But in the shade, it goes to more of a bronze, it's hard to say, more of a, not really more of a bronze, more of a green with a bronze undertone. So it reverses, basically, so not to get confused. But it's definitely a beautiful color. This being a 110, let's talk about the drivetrain, which is a 300 TDI. It's been performance tuned. What that means is it has a full width intercooler. It has a custom injection pump, 3-inch stainless steel exhaust system, a VNT turbo, our custom milled, polished, ported cylinder head, which it increases the low and the mid-range torque and also makes the vehicle quieter. So it does move really well. I mean, it is lifted. It's lifted about 3 inches. It has the bead locker style wheels, which are very heavy. The tires, which are, I believe these is an STT Pro. We'll look at that when we get over there. But my point that I'm trying to make is the wheels and the tires are very heavy. So it's a lot of weight. So we had to do a lot of tuning and to get the engine to really get everything going really well, which we were quite successful in that. Transmission's been re-geared, 5-speed manual transmission. 5th gear is like an overdrive, so it's a high gear. Front and rear differentials have been changed out so that they are the proper ratio for the lift, so then the speedometer is correct. So starting with the front, you'll notice that we always do that on the Helderburg, that we have the bump out, this air con bump out, which makes more room for the air conditioning and the full width intercooler. And I absolutely love the grill. You know that I do this grill a lot, guys, and it seems most of the time everybody loves it. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to be able to see the fan, and I'm like, that's part of the coolness, that you kind of see that utilitarian feel, that rugged feel to it. But the grill is beautiful. It's made in Germany, it is handmade, and it's metal, it's not plastic. The bump out definitely gives it some more dimension. The bumper on the front, which has the ears on the side that roll up with the red tow hooks, very solid metal, and just with the holes that match the actual steering dampener protection under here. So everything flows and everything matches. Our signature headlights, which have the broken beam, the LED beam here, and then I did smoke turn signals, the turn signal on the light here. So talking about the front end, let's move up to the bonnet. Of course, you know this is a bonnet, not a hood. It is the Puma bonnet, which is raised. It gives it more of that rugged feel. And then a Helderburg signature is the hand-cut louvers. They serve no purpose. It's really just a design cue, but it's reminiscent of the Bugattis back in the day, or the Jaguar or Bentley. So again, serves no purpose, but it does look good, and that's what you see on a Helderburg. It does have the full roll cage on it, and then the roof rack. So you definitely have to have some height. The height on this one is approximately 86 inches. So if you're considering a D110 like this with a lift, make sure it fits into your garage. In fact, we built this for a client in Texas, and he said, I got to measure my garage and make sure it fits, and he was clear. So I will tell you, this color combo, this design, this 110, we've done this design multiple times. You won't see it on Helderburg.com. I did the one, did Bruno, and I didn't do any more. This one has a few little different design elements, so I felt it was fitting for us to do a video on this. So now let's move to the side. Let's talk a little bit about the lift and the arches, and then we'll move into the interior. So here we are in the Sandoval, and you'll see something where we're in the shade right now. When I was on the front and I was in the sunlight, I told you in the sun, it's bronze with an undertone of green in the sun, but in the shade, it's green with an undertone of bronze. Yeah, I said that correct this time. So it looks very green, almost has a military-esque feel to it. And just a little background on this color. I did this originally on Enzo. We played with color, and it really was a 12th hour decision, because originally on Enzo, I was going to do it Bahama Gold, was the one color. I love that color too, by the way. But then I went with this because we'd been playing with the colors for a while, and I'm really happy I did. The thing is with this color though, is it's so popular. And what I mean by that, we've had this color at some different shows, and the amount of people that crowd around it and want to take pictures and they say they've never seen this color is quite amazing. Actually, it's an ego boost. But let's get into Sandoval a little more. So Sandoval, you'll notice billet hinges, billet door handles, and then it even has the rock sliders here. This is a very thick metal. The name is what it is. It's a rock slider. So if you are off-roading, the whole idea of this is to be able to go over the rocks and not cause body damage. However, you do have the step-up bars that are not suitable to go over, and boulders and rocks and trees and all that. They will actually bend up a little bit. So anyway, but this gives it a very nice rugged feel. It does have approximately 3 inches of a lift. It has a Fox suspension under it. It has the proper radius arms. So when you lift something up, you're turning your axles and you start to wear parts out. That's why you have to put the proper radius arms. So what I'm really telling you is this is not a teenage boy lift. It's a proper lift. It's all done properly. It does have the big brakes on it. So 6-piston in the front, 4-piston in the rear, because we are moving a lot of weight with these wheels and tires, and with the roof rack, there's a lot of weight here. This vehicle weighs well over 6,000 pounds the way it sits. And when you're going down the road, you can definitely feel that it's a heavier vehicle in the sense that it just feels very planted. It's got a nice, what I call poke, and people get confused. And what I mean by poke is the tires poking out past the fenders. But we did do the wider arches here, and the wider arches help minimize any type of, mud and gravel coming up the side. They don't quite cover the tires all of the way, and I prefer these arches much more than the other arches that you could actually see on Bayou. So if you go to Bayou, which is a 110, it's the Bahama Gold, you'll see what I mean by the bigger arches, that they have bolt holes. This keeps it very clean, very slim, or very streamlined is what it does. So 110 versus a D90. Understand, this is to be really understand the difference here, is a 110 gives you the second row, but the cargo area is the same size on a 110 as it is on a 90. So a 110 just gives you the second row. So what else can I tell you about it? Let's take a look around the back, and then let's take a look at the interior. So here we are at the back corner of Sandoval, and the first thing you'll probably notice is the ladder. And here's a word of advice. If we're building a Helderburg for you and you want the ladder, just know all of your friends are going to want to climb up the ladder. I kid you not. I am being 100% serious that I'll have friends that come over, and the first thing that they do when they walk around the back is they start climbing the ladder. And I'm like, where are you going? Oh, I just wanted to climb the ladder. 50-year-old man climbing the ladder is just the funniest sight you've ever seen. And I will tell you, at the shows, we have to watch the adults more than we do the kids when it comes to the ladder. But anyway, all right, so moving on. This one does have the NAS style bumper. So it has the receiver on it. It has the step with the rubber padding on it. It allows everybody to get in the back. And then here's another word of advice too, that Christy and I will have a couple that will come to visit, and we'll go to dinner, and they're like, you drive. And I'm like, no problem. And you would think that they would get into the second row, but they don't. They automatically go to the back, and they want to ride into the cargo area in the center facing benches. It is very nostalgic. It is very fun. And that's one of the reasons that I do the interior the way that I do the interior, which we'll talk about when we get inside. So here we are, we're in the interior of Sandoval, and when you're designing your Helderburg, one of the decisions you have to make is, do you want 3 seats in the back, being that this seat is folded down, which is a question I get a lot. Do they fold down flat? And it's like, yeah, they fold down flat. But you have the option, again, to do 3 seats or 2 seats and a center cubby. If you don't have the need to haul a lot of people, if it's normally 4 people or 6 people, then I say go with the center cubby, because the benefit of the center cubby is when you have a couple that want to ride in the back on the center facing benches, which will happen often, then you have an open view, so you can actually have your conversation through the rear view mirror. So I know that sounds weird, but just know. The center facing benches do have seat belts. It is seating for 4. And what I like about the center facing benches is they don't stick out into the cargo area that far. So it really leaves your cargo area open to store other stuff and carry the dogs or whatever. And then also too, if you have adults back here, then they're not knocking knees, versus having the bucket seats back here that are center facing. They sit up higher and they sit out farther. So 2 adults, it's really hard for them to sit across from one another unless they're okay with touching knees and all that. So this is the interior in the, configuration wise, but the color is fabulous. I love this color. It has a very, how would I describe it? English library or cigar bar. I wouldn't say Western, but it is equestrian. It does have an equestrian feel to it, because the black is not a real black. It borderlines an undertone of gray on the black. And then of course we have the brown, and then the caramel stitching, and then the Italian Alcantara headliner here is done in a chocolate brown. So it makes it very nice. The windows in the cargo area here are non-sliders, and you have the option to do sliding windows or non-sliders. The non-sliders are more energy efficient than the sliding windows. So it's, again, deciding how you're going to use the vehicle and whether or not you want the sliders. If it was a D90, I say do the sliders if you're taking your dogs with you, and just to kind of give that open air environment. If it's a 110, I say do the solid windows. just because it's more energy efficient. Even though this vehicle has been thoroughly insulated and it holds cold air pretty well with the air conditioning, it's pretty efficient. That the air conditioning in the front will actually cool the passengers in the back here in the second row. And if you run it long enough, it will cool the cabin back here too. So this is Sandoval. Just check out the videos. If you like this truck, share it, and I'd love to hear your comments. If you were building a Helderburg like this, what would you change? What would be different?